Palace maid. It is 1424, and you are a 13-year-old palace maid in the Ming Dynasty. Your father sold you here. It wasn't cruelty, just a practical decision. The family was going through really hard times, so he cashed out on you. But just the sale didn't guarantee you would work in the Forbidden City. There was a selection process that took 4 days. It started with 5,000 girls. Then 1,000 girls were disqualified on the first day because they were either too tall, too short, too fat, or too thin. By the 4th day, only you and 67 other girls are left. The others have been disqualified due to how they look, talk, walk, or even think. You survive every round, not because you are the most beautiful, but because you are the most watchful. You study what gets other girls cut, and you do not do those things. Now you're a palace maid, unranked and invisible. Your duties include carrying water, washing silk clothes, and making sure you never upset the wrong person. You learned that one quickly when a girl who ruined a consort silk disappeared. To this day, nobody knows what happened to her. One evening during the New Year celebration, you work your bones off. A girl just told you that a concubine commented to the head maid that you slack off a lot. You want to prove that you aren't a slacker, so you are everywhere. You want the concubine to notice. Everyone notices, even the emperor. His eyes even follow your movements. You do not notice, but a eunuch named Wei does. He says nothing to you, he just goes directly to the head eunuch because this is how things move inside the Forbidden City. Something has already been set in motion. You just don't know it yet. Second attendant. 3 weeks into the new year, a eunuch arrives at the servant quarters and reads your name from a scroll. You are now a daim, also known as a second attendant. You have 2 maids, a corner of a shared room, and an allowance so small it's almost a joke. But your name is in the records. You're now official. You learn very quickly what that means. Women without names in the records do not exist. You, on the other hand, can't just disappear randomly anymore. A woman at your rank explains the night procedure to you one afternoon. Her voice is flat. She tells you how you'll be bathed, stripped, wrapped in silk, and carried to the emperor's chambers if you're requested. She also tells you about the vermilion ink outside the door, and how it must be inputted in the state record. You nod, and file it under things you cannot change and therefore must use. You also find out it was Wei who moved for you. You seek him out. You do not thank him with words. You thank him with attention, and that particular quality of presence that tells a person they are seen. Wei is your first thread. You use him to begin pulling others. Every eunuch in your corridor, every maid that delivers a message. You note their names, find their debts, their loyalties and fears. You are building something that has no name yet. You are the only person who knows it exists. You are 14 years old, and you already think 3 moves ahead. One Saturday, your name card is selected. You can't even enjoy your weekend as you spent the day being prepared the way objects are prepared before they are gifted. You're bathed in water scented with flowers whose names you don't know. Your hair is unpinned. Your skin is oiled. Every ornament is removed, including your hairpin. Then you are stripped. Not unkindly, just completely. This is security, a eunuch explains. They search for weapons and poison. You understand the logic. You also understand that logic and dignity are different things. After they're satisfied, they wrap you in red silk. Tight. A eunuch carries you to the emperor's chamber on his shoulder. Yes, on his shoulder like a sack bundle. Well, right now you're technically a silk bundle, so he isn't wrong. He sets you down in the chambers and leaves. You enter the bed from the foot. You do so by going beneath his feet and crawling upward. This too is a procedure. Outside the door, the chief eunuch of the Office of Imperial Affairs sits with his vermilion ink and his official manual and waits. When it's over, the chief eunuch comes in and kneels to the emperor. He says, to retain or not to retain? If the emperor retains you, retain is the word they use. The time, the exact hour, the exact minute. Your name and his are recorded in the official manual. If not retained, the eunuch would use a special technique on your lower back to push out the emperor's seed to prevent pregnancy. But you're lucky, as the Emperor says, to retain. And just like that, your body is officially archived. After the rituals, you carry yourself back to your room before dawn. You sit on the edge of your mat for a very long time and reflect on what just happened. The Emperor requests you again the following week. Then again, Wei finds you the morning after the third request and tells you quietly which women are already watching you and which ones are already moving. First attendant. With the Emperor's attention on you, you are elevated to Changzai. You now have 3 maids, still in the same shared palace, but a different corner of it. Through Wei, you meet 2 senior eunuchs, and through them, you begin to understand the shape of power beyond your courtyard. Which noble families have daughters inside these walls? Which military families are looking for the right alliance? You are still just a first attendant with 3 maids, but you are thinking 3 ranks ahead. After multiple visits to his chambers, the Emperor gives you a courtesy name. 2 characters he chose to describe what he sees when he looks at you. You receive them with the appropriate gratitude and the appropriate lowered head. You do not think about the fact that you have had a name your entire life, and this one is his invention. All you know is that you are a Gurin now, a noble lady with 4 maids and a better position in the shared palace. Noble lady. The Emperor still requests you, just less than before. There is a new woman he has been calling for with that particular frequency, which means you are temporarily not the most interesting thing in the room. You file this away not as rejection, but as information. Every woman in this palace dances to one man's attention, and that attention moves the way the weather moves, without explanation and without loyalty. So you focus on what you can control. And about your rank, the numbers at your rank are unlimited. You understand immediately what that means. It means expendable. After all, you're one of many, and the competition between women at exactly the same level is the most dangerous kind. Invisible, constant, and without rules. This rank is exactly the reason why you started building connections. Through Wei, you begin making careful contact with the noble families. Small things at first. A message delivered at the right moment. A piece of information placed in the right ear. A favor so minor, it doesn't look like a favor at all. You're building relationships with people who have power outside these walls. Most see you as a noble lady with 4 maids, a courtesy name, and a shared palace room. They don't see that you are also becoming something the palace has no rank for. Something patient, something connected, something that knows the difference between being noticed by one man and being known by everyone who matters around him. One day, you feel faint. You call for the palace physician, expecting to get some concoctions for a fever. Instead, you get a congratulations for being pregnant. It was bound to happen. Too many visits to the Emperor ending with the word retain were always going to end with a swollen belly. With the news out, you become the focus of the harem. Everyone, including the Empress, sends gifts and congratulations. You know better than to take them at face value. Then that night, the Emperor summons you. It seems your charms still work. The pregnancy comes to term fast. You were careful. Childbirth, on the other hand, was an entirely different matter. The birth takes 11 hours. There is no dignity in it, just pain and blood. You see the midwife and the other woman praying in a language you can't make out. You think this is the end for both you and your child. Well, that's until he arrives. He's small and furious. You know his lungs work perfectly too, as his cries are loud. You're happy, but immediately he grips your finger with his tiny hands, and you understand that everything has changed. Imperial Concubine. You are named an Imperial Concubine, one of the 6 that has been named. Your residence also changes. It's now in the main section of the palace, not a side hall, and definitely not a shared room. You also now have 6 maids, while your name in the Imperial records has changed to red ink. This is the legitimacy that a son can get you in the Forbidden Palace. Outside the walls, the birth of your son gives you credibility. The noble families who received your small messages and quiet favors are now paying a different kind of attention. You're not asking for anything yet. You just want to be taken seriously. You want them to see you as someone that has a stake in the throne. Years pass, and your son is now 4. You bribe 2 kitchen servants to taste everything before it reaches your son. You even arrange for a trusted maid to sleep outside his door. You also pay a visit to the head physician directly. A small gift, a kind word at the right moment, and a favor extended before he even realizes that he needs it. Everything is going well. Well, as good as things can be until the morning, when one of the food tasters dies. She is found moments before dawn. The physicians tell you that her organs failed. He also adds that she tasted your son's morning meal less than an hour before. You sit with the information for exactly 1 day. Then you get away. You tell him what you need to know, and you wait. Within a week, you have a name. 2 names, actually. The women who ordered it and the kitchen servant who carried it out. You hold both names the way you hold everything. Carefully, quietly. Patience has always been your strongest trait. A year later, the kitchen servant is reassigned to a remote part of the palace through channels that cannot be traced back to you. She does not know why she is being moved. She simply disappears, like the maid that disappeared when you first arrived at the Forbidden Palace. She never suspected you. Even the woman who ordered it doesn't yet know that you know. After all, it's been a year since the incident. You are 22 years old and have been inside these walls for 9 years. You learned a long time ago that survival is just the beginning of the game, and unknown to them, you are just the beginning. Consort. Your son is 10 years old, and already the tutors are assessing him the way merchants assess livestock, carefully, quietly, and with numbers behind their eyes. You're building his future in parallel with your own. Every connection you make is a connection for him. Every alliance you secure is a wall around what belongs to him. You are a consort now. You have your own palace and are addressed as Your Highness by everyone who enters it. Only 4 women hold this rank right now, and you are one of them. The woman behind the attempt on your son's life is a noble consort, 1 rank above you. Her family has military connections that stretch back 2 generations, and she has also been doing this for years. Not just your son. Before him, there were others. A consort whose infant daughter stopped breathing at 3 months old. A concubine whose son developed a sudden illness that the physicians never fully explained. A woman 2 ranks below you who lost her child before it arrived, and never recovered enough to be a threat to anyone again. Nobody connected the threats, because nobody was looking at all of them at the same time. But you did. You have been collecting testimonies patiently, quietly, from people nobody thinks to watch. Kitchen servants, junior maids, a physician who treated one of her early victims and remembered details he had been too afraid to repeat. You were once like them, so you know how to unravel them. You deliver the information to the right member of the Imperial Council anonymously. When the news comes out, her family distances themselves from her. By the time the palace internal investigators are done with her, all that's left is a body that has lost its mind from torture. She is finally executed for treason against the royal lineage. That evening, you burn incense for the food taster. You only learned her name the morning she died. But unknown to anybody, you've been quietly supporting her family since that same morning. The years go by, and age is starting to show on everyone. You're just getting into your prime. Your son is becoming an adolescent. The Empress's wrinkles are harder to hide now, but it's the Emperor that seems to have it the worst. It seems that years of vigorous exercise are starting to show their effects. He's aging now, visibly. Slowly, but soon it'll be all at once. So you start watching his physicians the way you once watched your rivals. After all, everything you've worked for can be undone depending on what happens before he stops breathing. Years pass, and your son is now 13. He recites classical texts from memory and writes calligraphy that makes his tutor lower his head. The Emperor hears of it and summons you both. He looks at your son the way powerful men look at investments performing well. Not warmth, but recognition. He still calls you to his chamber sometimes, not for what he used to want. Now he mostly talks about the court, about his fathers before him, about things that tire him. You listen the way you have always listened, completely, quietly, filing everything. During this time, one of the noble consorts passes away. Natural causes. Nothing to do with you. Noble consort. And that's how you're elevated. You're now Guifei, a noble consort. Your quarters now have a 7-room quarter, 12 servants, a personal cook, and a monthly allowance more than your father earned in his entire life. The Emperor's health continues failing in ways that are no longer subtle. Everyone can see it now. Most people pretend otherwise. You do not pretend. You already befriended his head physician 3 years ago. The physician visits you privately now. He tells you things he should not tell anyone. And as always, you reward him appropriately. Imperial Noble Consort. There is only ever one Imperial Noble Consort. The rank doesn't exist until an emperor creates it as a declaration. She is everything the empress is, except the political alliance that keeps the empress where she is. The emperor creates it for you. Your son is his favorite, and you're still his comfort. The court also treats you as a second empress, because that is functionally what you are. This is precisely what makes you the most dangerous woman in the palace, and the most endangered. The empress has been here for 2 decades. She monitors you the way a general monitors a border. Every movement noted, every connection mapped, every alliance assessed for threat level. She already removed the emperor's last favorite. You know this. She knows you know. So you know you have to do something, and fast. Then through your network, you hear about Lady Shen. She gave the emperor a son. You remember him. He was called the Child of Heaven. You know that he was everything your son was and more. But he died 6 years ago in what the official record calls a hunting accident. Everyone knows what it was. Lady Shen knows what it was. Since then, she's been sitting in a shrinking courtyard with 2 daughters and a disappearing allowance, waiting for the Empress's people to decide she is inconvenient enough to finish. So you go to her yourself. You sit across from her, and you do not pretend. You tell her what you need. She has one connection left inside the Empress's medicine supply. One thread the palace hasn't severed yet. You need that thread. In return, you promise that her daughters will be protected, that they'll be placed, provided for, and shielded by a network that will still exist after this is over. She looks at you for a long time. Then she nods. The Empress falls ill first, then her son. The physicians find no certain cause, and the Emperor is too weak to investigate properly. Soon, mourning ceremonies are planned for before anyone actually passes away. Then, they are conducted. 3 days after the Empress's son is buried, Lady Shen is found dead in her courtyard. No letter, but the evidence points clearly in one direction. This makes the investigation brief, while the palace moves on. Due to the circumstances, no funeral was held, but that doesn't stop you from burning incense for her. Her daughters are already being taken care of. You will keep that promise for the rest of your life. This is the one calculation you made with something other than strategy. Just then, as you strategize for the future, you get a message. The Empress is dead. Empress. The noble families move before the Empress is called. Documents travel through the right hands in the right order. Then, the Emperor summons you. He looks older than he did last season. He studies you the way powerful men study decisions they have already made but want to believe they are still making. And just like that, he elevates you to Empress and your son to Crown Prince. You lower your head and say the appropriate words. You even hold the appropriate expression. But inside, you are perfectly still. The phoenix crown is heavier than you expected. Servants kneel when you enter. Wei stands at your right. He has always stood at your right, but now everyone can see it. As empress, you manage everything. Births, deaths, marriage, punishments, who eats, who waits, who sees a physician today, and who waits until tomorrow. You are the law inside these walls. The emperor is still alive, so you manage him too. You also manage his positions, his comfort, and his remaining preferences. You calibrate all of it carefully around your son's position. But you still don't sleep well. You have a knife under your pillow. You also check your locks every night. After all, you know how you got here. Your son will take a wife soon. She will come from a powerful family. She will be ambitious. She will enter these walls and begin watching the angle of your fan the way you once watched the angle of every fan above you. And when your son becomes emperor, she will watch the other women, as that is given. At the same time, in the back courtyard, a new girl will arrive, 14 and naive. You were her once, and just like you, she might find herself climbing the ranks.